Ever been there? You're lying in bed, you're finally ready to sleep, and then, bam! This crazy, overwhelming itch just will not quit. It's a super common, super frustrating medical mystery. And in this explainer, we're going to solve it together. So, this is the big question, right? What is the deal? Why is it that the minute the lights go out, it's like a switch flips and the itching starts? It can feel totally random, maybe even like a cruel joke your body's playing on you. But it's not. Turns out there's some real science behind it, and we're about to break it all down.
All right, so first things first, let's get a handle on what we're actually dealing with here. This isn't just, a simple little skin issue. It's way more complex. It's this fascinating mix of dermatology, immunology, and even sleep science.
Okay, get ready for the fancy medical term. It's called nocturnal pruritus. Nocturnal for night, pruritus for itch. Makes sense. But the really key part of that definition isn't just the word itch. It's how it completely messes with your sleep, waking you up again and again.
Now, this nighttime itch can show up in a couple of different ways. On one hand, you might get urticaria. That's just the sciencey name for hives. You know them, those raised, red, super itchy welts. But then there's the other kind, which honestly can be even more maddening. Pruritus without a rash. That's when you're itching like crazy, but you look at your skin and there's absolutely nothing there.
So to really crack this case, we've got to go straight to the scene of the crime. And where's that? It's our own skin. And what's wild is that our skin is a totally different beast at night than it is during the day.
So check this out. At night, 3 big things happen to your skin. 1, its temperature goes up. 2, more blood flows to the surface. And 3, it starts losing more moisture. The end result of all that? Your skin is just naturally primed to be more sensitive and, well, more itchy.
And it's not just physical. There's a huge mental part to this too. I mean, think about it. During the day, you're running around, you're busy, you're distracted by a million things. But at night, it's quiet. Your brain isn't juggling emails or errands, so that little itch you barely noticed at 2 p.m., at 2 a.m., it feels like a 5-alarm fire.
Okay, so we've examined the physical evidence on the skin. Now it's time to dig deeper and meet the prime suspect, the real mastermind behind this whole operation, your body's own internal clock. Yep, we're talking about your circadian rhythm. Your body's 24-hour cycle basically sets up the perfect storm for itching every single night. See, when it gets dark, your body dials down its production of cortisol. That's your built-in anti-inflammatory. At the exact same time, it starts releasing more of the chemicals that make you itch, and your skin's protective barrier gets a little weaker. It's a triple whammy.
Now, with all these things happening, there is one chemical culprit in particular that's really the main villain here. I mean, it is pretty much single-handedly responsible for that itchy feeling.
And that culprit is histamine. You've probably heard of it. It's the main chemical that gets your nerve endings all fired up and screaming itch, and you can probably guess when its activity naturally hits its peak, right? Yep, at night, right when our bodies are least prepared to fight it.
Okay, so histamine is our main bad guy for sure. But here's the thing, it rarely acts alone. It's got a whole crew of accomplices, or triggers, that can show up and make things so much worse.
Let's run down the usual suspects. First, you've got your environmental triggers. Think about being too hot under your blankets, or even dust mites in your bedding. Then there are allergic triggers, maybe from your laundry detergent or something you ate. And finally, you have internal factors, like stress or hormones, which can just pour gasoline on the fire.
And listen, this next part is really, really important. Sometimes that nightly itch is more than just an annoyance. It can actually be your body's alarm system signaling a much more serious underlying condition, like issues with your kidneys, your liver, or your thyroid.
And of course, we have to talk about the dreaded itch-scratch cycle. It is so vicious. It starts with an itch. So what do? You scratch. And that feels good for a second. But that scratching actually damages your skin, which causes inflammation. And guess what inflammation does? It leads to even more itching. It's a loop. And when you're half asleep, that cycle can get completely out of control.
All right, we've investigated the mystery, we've identified the culprits and their accomplices. Now for the part you've been waiting for, how do we actually stop it? Let's talk about the game plan, the actionable strategies to finally solve this case.
So, your first lines of defense are often the most effective. Antihistamines go right after our prime suspect. A good skincare routine with moisturizers helps strengthen that skin barrier we talked about. And simple things like keeping your bedroom cool and your nails short are surprisingly powerful changes you can make.
But out of all the strategies, this is the most important one hands down. All those other steps, They help manage the symptoms. But for real long-term relief, you have to identify and treat the root cause, whether it's an allergy, a skin condition, or an internal disease.
So, after looking at all the evidence, we're ready to deliver the final verdict on what's really going on when you can't stop scratching after dark.
And here it is, the single most important thing to take away from our entire investigation. Nighttime itching is not random. It's a predictable biological event driven by the inner workings of your own body.
So, to put it all together, that nightly itch isn't a mystery at all. It's a predictable event. It's caused by the intersection of your body's daily clock, the release of chemicals like histamine, and your brain's heightened awareness in the quiet of the night.
So, the next time you feel that itch creeping in as you're trying to fall asleep, don't just think of it as an annoyance. Think of it as a message. Your body's trying to tell you something, and maybe it's time you started to listen.